So in today's video I will be telling you about all the books that I read in July, as well as the books that I'm hoping to read in August and September. So if you want to hear what a middle-aged reader is up to, then please stay tuned. Hi everyone, welcome back to Cook, Create, Read. My name is Terry if you're new here. So I had a really good reading month. I read 8 books, which is pretty phenomenal for me. At the beginning of July I'd only read 9 books so far this year. I read almost as many books in a month as I've read in the whole year to date, so that was pretty good. So I'll go through them in reverse star rating order. So I rated 2 books 3 stars, 2 books 3.5 stars, 1 4 stars, 1 4.5 stars and 1 5-star read. So we'll start with the 3-star reads, and the first one, I know I'm definitely in the minority with this one, but it is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So I think I've said previously that I've had a bit of a mixed reading relationship with Taylor Jenkins Reid. I really enjoyed, the first one I read of hers was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hardcastle. Evelyn Hugo, I don't know why I keep saying Hardcastle. And I really enjoyed that one, I absolutely loved it. And then I read Daisy Jones and the Six, which I enjoyed, but I didn't love it. And then I picked up Malibu and I couldn't even get through the first 20 pages. It was just really annoying me. The dialogue was ridiculous and I couldn't get any further with that one. But I was hoping that I would really enjoy this one. I was very much interested in the women in space aspect of it. And I did really enjoy that aspect of this book. But I wish it had gone a bit deeper into women going into space, because that was just about the only thing that I enjoyed in the book. Again, I found the dialogue just really unrealistic. People don't talk to each other the way they talk to each other in this book. It was really stilted and just didn't feel natural at all. And I felt like the main character, whose name is Joan, I just found her to be like too perfect, really annoying. She was just Little Miss Perfect and had no faults, no flaws, and people just aren't like that in real life. So didn't really enjoy this one. I think I am going to give up on Taylor Jenkins Reid. I don't think I'll be reading any more of her books, but I love the cover. But if you know of any books that are similar to the kind of space aspect of this, the women in space specifically, please recommend some in the comments below, because I would love to read more from that kind of genre. The next book I read was on my Kindle, and that was Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. I read a few of her books and enjoyed them all. I gave this one 3 stars. It was a good story, engaging, easy to read, just what I was looking for. I liked the island setting and the quirky characters on the island and the kind of weirdness that was going on the island that we didn't really, that was hinted at throughout the story. For me, I found it a bit predictable. I'd worked out what was going to happen before the end, and so for that reason I gave it 3 stars. But I do really like her books and I will read more from her. So moving on to 3.5-star books. The first one is The Crucifix Killer by Chris Carter. So I heard about this series of books through, oh God, what's her name? Her channel's called The Pastel Bookshelf, I think. I don't think I can link below, but I'll leave her proper name in the description below. So this is the first book in a series of detective police procedural serial killer novels, which I love. I'm a huge fan of those kind of books. I was very keen to pick this one up to get started on the series. I think this was a really good introduction to the series. I really liked the 2 characters. So we're following like an old jaded detective who's been in the job for a while, and he's recently lost his partner, and then he's got a new partner who's like just come over into the homicide division, and he's on his first job. Like a lot of serial killer novels, you do have to suspend belief a little bit. It's a little bit unbelievable. This was also a little bit predictable for me. I think I've just read too many of these books, to be honest, and I was able to figure out what was going to happen before it was revealed, which is fine. I don't, that's whatever. but really enjoyed this. I'm definitely going to read the next in the series. So my next 3.5-star read was Funny Story by Emily Henry, which I also read on my Kindle. This was exactly what I was expecting. I don't read a lot of romance, but this was fun, like a nice light-hearted easy read with lovable characters, cute story, and I really enjoyed the library aspect of this one. The main character works in a library, specifically in the children's section of the library, and that was really fun to read about. I liked this simmering relationship between Daphne and Miles. That was fun, and there was also like a kind of deeper aspect about friendship and how difficult it is to make friends when you're new into town and you've moved a lot throughout your life, which is something that I've done. So I could kind of relate to Daphne in that aspect. So I really enjoyed this one, 3.5 stars, and I will read more of her. This wasn't my first Emily Henry book. I've also read Beach Read, which I think I also gave 3.5 stars. So yeah, I do enjoy her books for it's just a light-hearted distraction from all the serial killer stuff. So I gave one book 4 stars this month, and that is The Women by Kristin Hannah. Kristin Hannah. This is my first book by her. I have got a few others on my shelves, but this is the first one I've actually read. And Natasha, my daughter, read it first and she gave it 5 stars and told me I needed to read it. So this story follows a newly qualified nurse who goes out to Vietnam to be a combat nurse in the war. It's really harrowing, and the descriptions of the war and the traumatic injuries that the soldiers suffered is quite gruesome. But this story is so engaging and absorbing, and you love the characters. She writes about the horrors of war so vividly, and you end up really rooting for the characters. I predicted what was going to happen in this one as well, and I was really annoyed when what I thought was going to happen happened. But I still really enjoyed this book and I can't wait to read more of hers. Then we have a 4.5-star book, which is Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaghy. This is one of the books that I bought on my recent road trip across America. This book is set in an island just off the coast of Antarctica, and it follows the story of a man and his 3 children who are on this island where there is a seed bank that they have to look after, that is preserving seeds in case of climate change and, you know, the end of the world. And you know that something awful has happened on this island, but you don't know what. And then one day a woman gets washed ashore in a big storm, and then the story gradually gets revealed from there. The setting in this book is incredible. It's like the nature writing is amazing. You really feel the atmosphere of the place. It's foreboding and quite sinister. So I really love the setting of this book. I loved the mystery element, although again I did kind of guess what was going to happen or what had happened, but still really loved that aspect of it. Loved the characters in this book. They were all, you know, really felt realistic and true to life and relatable. So the only reason I gave this 4.5 stars and not 5 stars is the pacing. I like the whole book is kind of quite a slow, introspective story, which I was really enjoying, and then just towards the end the pace really picks up and it feels really rushed. So that was just a little bit jarring to me, but apart from that, absolutely love this book. Definitely will be reading more of hers. I haven't read anything else by her, but she will definitely be going on my favourites shelf. Highly recommend this book. And then we have one 5-star read for July, and that is The Wedding People by Alison Espach. This is another book that I bought when I was on my road trip in America. It was actually the last book I bought, and the first book I read when I got home. This book, I'd seen it everywhere, and it was, I think a lot of people have read it on YouTube and everybody seems to love it. So I was a little bit trepidatious going into it, because often when books are really hyped up, they don't live up to my expectations, but this one absolutely did. So this follows a woman called Phoebe who has recently got divorced, and she takes herself off to this fancy hotel on the coast. When she gets there, she realises that there's a wedding going on and everybody else in the hotel is a guest at this wedding. And the bride meets her and mistakes her for being a guest. She thinks she's either somebody from from the groom's side of the family that she hasn't met yet, or she's somebody from her family that she hasn't met. She's got a really big family. But it turns out she's not. Abby has gone to this hotel for a very specific reason, and she tells the bride that this is why she's there. I don't want to spoil anything. And the bride is like, absolutely not. You are not doing that at my wedding. You're going to spoil my wedding. And she slowly pulls Phoebe into her life, and she becomes part of the wedding. And on the surface, this is like a really light-hearted book, but it deals with some really serious mental health issues that go a lot deeper. But these issues are dealt with in a light but respectful way. The characters were really vividly written and just felt so real and relatable. And the setting was also so well written, and you could picture it in your mind. This is a book about friendship, relationships, marriage, and I really enjoyed this. And as soon as I'd finished it, I had to order one of her other books called The Adults. So I've got that waiting on my pile to be read. Really enjoyed this, highly recommend, definitely going on my favourite shelf. So those are the 8 books that I read in July. Would love to hear if you have read any of them, your thoughts. Please leave me some comments below if you have read any of them. So I'm now going to talk about some of the books that I am planning to read over the next couple of months. I always like to think that I am interested in the Booker Prize nominated books, but in reality I'm not actually sure how many I've actually read and enjoyed. The long list was announced just a couple of days ago, and I decided that I was going to try and read all of the long listed books before the shortlist is announced. So there are 13 books on the long list. One of them is actually not published in England until 2 days after the shortlist is announced, so I won't be able to read that one in time, but I am going to try and read all of the others. So I'll quickly show you what they are and very briefly what they're about. I don't know a huge amount about them, just so I won't be able to give a full synopsis of them or anything, but I'll just give you a brief headline. So there's 13 books. I have got 7, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I've got 7 on my shelf. The other 6 are on their way to me, and obviously the one of them won't be here until after the shortlist is announced, but anyway. So I'll start with the books that I don't have. The first one is Misinterpretation by Ledia, I don't know how you say her surname, Xhoga. I've got some notes here, which is why I'm looking down, because I haven't got the book, so I don't know what they're about really. And so I think this one is based in New York City, and it's about an Albanian interpreter who is asked to work with a Kosovan torture survivor. And I think it's about belonging, isolation, and like a sense of identity within your country. The next one is Flesh by David Szalay, I think is how you say his name, I'm not 100% sure. I think this is probably the one I'm least looking forward to, maybe. This one follows the story of a 15-year-old boy who moves to a new apartment building with his mum, and again it's about isolation and building relationships with the people around you, which actually does sound pretty good. So I don't know why I'm not looking forward to this one, because it sounds right up my street, to be honest. And then the next one that I don't have is The Rest of Our Lives by Ben Markovits. All I know about this one is it's a road trip novel. That's all I need to know. I love a road trip novel, so looking forward to that one. The next one is Flashlight by Susan Choi. Now this, I am kicking myself about this one, because I saw this one all over America when we were travelling around there in June, and I almost picked it up so many times but never did in the end. So I'm so annoyed that I didn't get it, because now it seems to be out of stock everywhere in England. I have ordered it, but it's out of stock, so it'll come to me when it comes, I guess. But this one is about a father and daughter who go out for a walk one evening, I think, and then the next thing you know, the daughter wakes up on the beach and her dad has gone missing. That's all I really know about that one, but it sounds really interesting. I think that's one I would have picked up at some point anyway, whether it was on this list or not. So, and then there is one called One Boat by Jonathan Buckley. And this story follows a woman who has just lost her dad, and she goes back to a Greek island that she visited when her mum died previously, I think like 9 or 10 years previously. And she meets up with some old people, some people that she knew from before on the island, and also some new people. This one says it's about identity, free will, guilt and responsibility. And then the one that isn't published here until the 25th of September is called The Loneliness of Sonia and Sonny by Keran Desai. Keran Desai is a really well-known author who, unfortunately, I haven't read anything by her yet, but I'm really looking forward to this one. I think this is probably the fattest one on the long list. It's really quite a chunky book. I believe this one is an epic love story and family saga, and it's set across America and India. Can't wait to get my hands on that one. But I know it's going to take me a while to read, so it's probably just as well actually that it's not published until after the long list. But hopefully it will be on the short list. So on to the ones that I do have. First one is The Land in Winter by Andrew Miller. I haven't read anything by this author before, but when I read the back it says that he's like a really well-renowned British author. I think I have got one of his books on my shelf, but I haven't read anything from him, and I did actually think he was American, but anyway, he's British. And this book, I have actually started this one already. When I first saw the list, this was the one that this one and Flesh were the two that I was thinking probably not really my thing. Maybe because they're written by men. I don't read a lot of books by men, but so I thought I would start with this one first. I started this yesterday, the 1st of August, and I decided to pick this one up first because I thought it would be the one that took me the longest, so I could get it out of the way. But I'm like 50 something, like 60 pages in, and I'm really enjoying it actually. I'm not going to say too much about it because I'm going to vlog my whole process of reading the long list, so I won't say too much about it. But this is about, it's set in a small town in England, and I think it happens in winter, obviously, the land in winter. And I think it follows these two married couples, and something happens. I think they go through a really awful winter, and it's about the force of nature and mental health, marriage and relationships, and yeah, really looking forward to reading this one. Next up we've got Seascraper by Benjamin Wood. This is a really dinky one, so yay for that. So I think this one is about a young man who lives by the sea and is kind of living his life responsibly to look after his family, I think. But a stranger comes into town and he starts yearning for something new, and I guess it's about how he deals with that. That's all I really know about this one. This one I'll be saving for September because I like to participate in Shorty September during the month, and this one's really short. This is like, I don't know, around about 150 pages, so this is perfect for Shorty September, so that will be read not in August but in September. The next one is Audition by Katie Kitamura. This is another short one. This is, how many pages? It's such a relief to get some short books on this list, to be honest. This one's around 170 pages, I think, so this will also be for Shorty September. And this one is about two people who are seen having lunch in New York City, and I think it is quite controversial. It's about like, what is their relationship, who are they, what are they to each other, and I've heard this is quite a controversial one, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. Then we have the third short one on the list. This is Universality by Natasha Brown, and this one is 156 pages, and this one is signed by the author. I got this one from Waterstones. So I have read Assembly by her. I read that a couple of years ago and really enjoyed that. That was also a really short, quick book. This one follows the story of a man who is bludgeoned to death by someone using a golden nugget, I think. Well, not a nugget, obviously, golden, what are they called? Solid gold bar, that's what it says on the back. And then a journalist starts investigating the murder and opens up a whole can of worms, I think. So this one sounds good. The next one is The South by Tash Orr, which is also a signed copy. I haven't read any of his other books. I did used to have one on my shelf, but I don't know if I got rid of it because I ended up not being interested in reading it. So this one says it's an intimate and sweeping love story, and I think it follows kind of a taboo relationship between two boys, and it's about how they and their families deal with that. So very much looking forward to this one as well. Then we have Love Forms by Claire Adam. This one is set in Trinidad and follows the story of a young teenage girl who has a baby, gives the baby up for adoption, and then I think 40 odd years later she is contacted by an adoption agency asking if she wants to meet I think it's her daughter, who they believe is her daughter that she gave up for adoption. So this sounds like it's going to be a really emotional read about family, love and all those good things. And then the final one is called Endling by Reva. This one is set in Ukraine, and it follows the story of a scientist who is trying to keep alive this endangered species of snail, hence the cover with a little cloud that's in the shape of a snail. It's cute. And I think this is a social commentary on marriage, relationships and activism. So I'm looking forward to this one as well. Those are the 13 books on the Booker Prize long list that I will be reading in August and September. Like I said, I will be vlogging the process. So I think I will probably vlog that in 2 different vlogs, one for August and one for September. So stay tuned for that if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on these books. I'm actually really looking forward to reading all of them now. I think I always worry that they might be a bit too literary for me and a bit too like cerebral and brainy, and sometimes I just don't need that when I'm reading, because sometimes work is really stressful and I just want to come home and not have to think too much about anything. But I've started having a new technique to my reading over the last month, which has worked really well because I've read those 8 books in July, and I've been reading a physical book during the day, like in the evenings when I get home from work, and then when I go to bed just reading on my Kindle a different book for half an hour or so. So I've been reading 2 different types of genres at the same time. So while I'm reading these kind of more literary books as my day book, I can read some kind of trashy thriller in the evening just before I go to sleep, so help me sleep well. So those are all the books that I've read in July and the books that I'm planning to read in August and September. If you've read any of these books, please let me know in the comments. Tell me which one you think I should pick up first. Tell me what was your favourite book that you read in July. Would love to hear what you've been reading. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more middle-aged reading. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.